Trucking is big business in Alabama. Over 163,000 Alabamians are employed through trucking, earning over $1.6 billion annually in wages and salaries. Trucks also pay a lot of money to the state in highway taxes. One large diesel truck pays as much highway tax as 32 automobiles. Because of the important role trucking plays, the annual Motor Fleet Seminar is held to create an awareness of the trucking supervisor and his job. The seminar is sponsored jointly by the State Department of Education and the Alabama Trucking Association Safety Council. The trucking supervisors received instruction in many topics related to their jobs, including training techniques, communication with management and drivers, and proper record-keeping systems. There are 3 women attending this year's seminar, marking the first time women have taken part in the program in its 29-year history. Michael Jones, WSFA TV News in Prattville.
Governor James is considering changing the structure of the Film Commission to bring it out from under the Bureau of Publicity and Information and place it under the Alabama Development Office. I feel this is a very logical step because the Film Commission is involved in promoting filmmaking in the state of Alabama, which is an industry. And I think that its activities are more complementary to the activities of the Alabama Development Office than the Bureau of Publicity and Information.
What did the Film Commission members think about this?
The Film Commission is very pleased that Governor James is supportive of its efforts, and the membership agrees with the governor that it can do its job more effectively under the Alabama Development Office and where it is presently placed.
Would there still be a Film Commission?
There will still be a Film Commission. It will be advisory in nature. The person who presently heads the Film Commission will be a department head under the Alabama Development Office. So we've been very successful in attracting a number of filmmakers to Alabama within the last several months, and I think under this new setup we'll be in a much stronger position to continue to attract filmmakers to our great state.
When William Orr was divorced in Alabama, he discovered that women could get alimony, but not men. That's the law in a dozen states, and Orr used that disparity to try to set aside the $1,600 a month alimony award he was ordered to pay.
But it's a stigma against women. It says in front of the people that women are incapable of handling their own lives and their own affairs. It makes them the ward of the court. That's absurd. That's degrading.
Today, the Supreme Court agreed with Orr 6-3. Justice Brennan wrote the opinion, saying it should be determined who the needy partner is, wife or husband. He said to award alimony to women only is gratuitous, perverse, and reinforces stereotypes about the place of women in the home and their supposed dependence on men. The court's decision was of enormous symbolic importance to both men's and women's groups who want to eliminate old laws giving special protection to women.
The decision does not mean that Mr. Orr will receive alimony since he's well off financially, but he could end up paying less alimony. That's because the court also indicated it's unfair to require that a divorced woman be supported in the style to which she's accustomed if that means her ex-husband would have to reduce the style to which he's accustomed. Carl Stern, NBC News at the Supreme Court.
Not since 1971 has Alabama divorce courts felt the impact of any law or ruling as is expected from the Orr decision. Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge Joseph Phelps practiced law for many years here in the state and says a 1971 divorce law may have caused a significant increase in divorces.
And prior to the incompatibility law, Alabama had some strict laws and rules of when you could get a divorce. For example, physical cruelty, adultery, alcoholism, that kind of thing. Very few people encountered that in their marriages. They'd come in and ask for advice on a divorce, and you'd tell them the grounds, and they'd look at each other and sometime leave. A lot of people would prefer just to stay married than to have to say something that wasn't factual. But after the incompatibility grounds, they would, when they just wasn't getting along, they saw a way to go ahead and have a divorce without having to bend the truth or say something that was not factual.
So you did see an increase in divorces here in the state after that law was passed in '71?
After 1971, we saw a very definite increase in Montgomery and throughout the state generally.
Montgomery attorneys Tommy Kirk and Charles Price have some definite opinions on the effect of the Orr decision in divorce proceedings.
It's going to be an interesting area, though, and I think a significant impact on the divorce procedures and the divorce laws, and just general people moving in or about their daily lives and whether or not to divorce each other or not. It's going to be a significant opinion.
I have had some inquiries made to my office about from men about what does it mean and whether they can come into court now and seek some relief from either high alimony or whether or not they can receive alimony themselves on divorces that have been finalized. I don't think it'll necessarily open up a floodgate. However, there'll be many inquiries made. I'm sure of that.
Legal scholars here in Alabama are now saying one of the effects of the Orr case could be men who once thought about divorce but didn't go through it because of damaging alimony are now saying to their lawyers, hey, let's look at that thing again. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News reporting.
The comments by Governor James came at a news conference he conducted with members of the media from some of the state's colleges and universities. The subject of open meetings was brought up. Governor James said he's in favor of a strong sunshine law.
Yes, I had in my platform a strong support for the sunshine law, and I think we tried to follow it. I goofed up once, twice in the last 6 weeks, and along those lines, I called a meeting in my office with Speaker of the House and Attorney General, the Lieutenant Governor, members of the Public Service Commission, the director over there, the president of Alabama Power Company, to discuss energy in this state. And in the case of the Public Service Commission, they had written some letters requesting more funds, just an open discussion of the energy. And I guess that I should have announced that meeting. Although it was not a meeting of any official body, but it was labeled a closed meeting, and in a sense it was a closed meeting. We'll make that mistake again.
The 24 reporters representing 10 colleges and universities asked several more questions about open meetings. The governor said he would be in favor of reasonable penalties for those who violate sunshine laws. Alabama does not have a sunshine law. It has an open meetings law. And that open meetings law is written such that official boards and commissions can meet, and it can be in private, if they don't tell anyone about the meeting. The Alabama law does not require such notification. The general conception of a sunshine law is that the media would have to be invited to any gathering of an official board or commission. Being college students, the reporters were concerned about higher education and funding. When asked about this funding, Governor James says he likes to look at the entire operation of a school as well as what's called the weighted hour concept when determining funding for colleges and universities. The governor was also asked about economics and the state's ability to develop. He answered by saying if Alabama is to have a balanced economic growth, then we are going to have to make it happen. After all, he said, improved jobs are what we're after. Dennis Latham, WSFA TV News at the Capitol.
This afternoon at 2 o'clock, I presented a petition to the City Council signed by 100% of the property owners out here on Cobbs Ford Road, requesting the city to annex this property into the city of Prattville.
Now, this was something you put together rather than the city.
Yes, sir. I did it all. I didn't do it all. I had some other help out here, of course, but the mayor nor any member of the city council came out here and solicited anybody's signature. We did it, and we went to the city council and requested that these people come into the city of Prattville.
Now, under the law, 100% of the contiguous landowners can request annexation and then come right in. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's only 3 ways that a municipality can annex property in the state of Alabama. One of them is by the act of the legislature. The other one is by election, and that requires 2 people for every 40 acres. And the third way is 100% of the property owners request to be annexed and present a petition along with a map and a description of the property.
Generally, where is the are the property lines now?
The property lines, it's a 1 square mile area. It covers from the southern pantry on Cobbs Ford Road all the way back to the county and the city limits.
That's the Elmore County line.
Yes, sir, the Elmore County line.
We would recommend that you get a copy of the summary, and then if you want a full report, fine. But it's a rather lengthy document as far as reading the full report. That says that every 4 years a committee will be appointed to evaluate the. There must be a clear responsibility placed upon the Alabama Commission on Higher Education for long-range planning. Now, it has the legislative act which created Alabama Commission on Higher Education did not make this one of its keystones as far as with this particular mandate. We think it should be the first mandate as far as higher education in Alabama, that we must have planning. The second recommendation that we made is that the Alabama Commission on Higher Education must be given the authority to approve programs and then have the authority to carry out their recommendation. As it is presently constituted under the Act, the only thing they are is an advisory body. Somebody must make the decision as to which institution is going to teach what subject, and as far as the coordination of this among the various institutions.
There you go.
So far, we haven't had any problem. I was talking to the manager of Delta today, and he said that they did get a message in stating that there could possibly be some future problems. But as far as we're concerned here at Danley, so far we've had no effect whatsoever from the fuel shortage.
In addition, what have you been averaging?
Well, that was what we called Project 06 out here, which included the strengthening of the runways, all new runway lights, new beacon lights, and also a new taxiway, and a new air carrier ramp on the east side of the terminal. The original bid price on this was a little over $2.6 million, and we completed it for a little over $2.2 million. And the main reason that we were able to save it was we talked the federal government into delaying the start of the construction until March 15th of '78, where previously the contract had been let for October of '77, and that would have put us right into all the bad winter months. And just luckily, we hit fantastic construction weather, and were able to complete the job on schedule, on time, and through the cooperation of all of the local FAA agencies, the contractor, the engineer, and everybody else, it just worked out that we were able to save the money.
The 42-year-old Grantic was arrested here last night after selling $3,000 worth of stock to Assistant Alabama Securities Commissioner Bob Prince. State intelligence officers took him to the Montgomery County Jail. Approximately an hour later, he was free on $10,000 bond. Grantic is accused of impersonating State Attorney General Charles Grantic's brother to gain the confidence of prospective stock investors. Just minutes after his release, Grantic told us he'd been framed.
I was accused of soliciting the sale of stock into a company, which is totally untrue. I was approached by a law enforcement officer who wanted to buy stock into a company in which I am performing at the present time. Consequently, I told him that I could not sell him stock, but there was some stock available. And he came to me, approached me, and wanted to discuss the possibility of buying into this company.
Okay, was it a dog racing track or a racing track in Lowndes County?
It was a proposed racing facility in Lowndes County, Alabama, yes.
Did you sell the sheriff of Lowndes County some stock?
No, sir.
Did you attempt to sell him some?
No, sir, I certainly didn't.
Did you use Attorney General Braddock's name to make these deals?
No,
Your
sir.
cousin, Attorney General
No,
Braddock?
sir.
You never used his name to make a deal with anybody or sell any stock? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
So why would you be arrested tonight?
I was framed.
As far as the racetrack is concerned, it never existed. No bill was ever passed setting up a track in Lowndes County. But according to legal sources, Braddock is not charged with selling stocks in a non-existent track, but that he is charged with failure to register the stocks and for failing to register as a salesman. One unnamed law enforcement official says that Braddock should be charged with aiding and abetting his own arrest by selling to the very state commissioner charged with arresting people for stock violations, Robert Prince, the man who gave Braddock the $3,000 check last night. The investigation of the alleged stock dealings of Jesse J. Braddock of Mobile was ordered by his cousin, State Attorney General Charles Braddock. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News reporting.
The land annexed by Prattville runs 1 mile east of the Autauga County line along Cobb's Ford Road and 1/2 mile deep along either side of the road. Roscoe Williams, the man who headed the landowners seeking annexation, said they would have been in a no-man's land if Millbrook annexed the property east of the new boundary line. The Millbrook City Council has drawn up a proposed annexation plan. Ralph Hall is the chairman of the Millbrook City Council Annexation Committee.
I think it's all right. It's definitely shows that that's what the people want, and if that's what they want, I'm all for it.
Now, was the city of Millbrook planning to annex the property that Prattville did?
Not that I know of, not in this administration anyway. I don't know what the future will hold, but as of now, it's been no talk whatsoever of us ever going any further.
The Millbrook City Council is planning to conduct public hearings on the annexation proposal Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights of next week. Michael Jones, WSFA TV News.
The bulk of today's testimony from the public addressed initiative and recall provisions. Two representatives of the Alabama Taxpayers Union urged the committee to include initiative in the new Constitution. They took no position on recall of public officials. Perhaps of more concern to the lawmakers was a survey sent out by the Taxpayers Union that solicited the opinions of the members of the legislature on the prospect of initiative. Many senators and representatives said the cover letter of the survey implied a threat that if they did not answer, their names would be published in newspapers across the state as having refused to respond. State Representative Euclid Raines of Albertville was one who made a special effort to illustrate his resentment to that threat.
Now, you sent me one of these questionnaires about 2 weeks ago. That was about the time you started out, wasn't it?
That's correct.
And you know what I'm going to do with it?
I hope you'll fill it out and mail it.
Let me ask you something. You also put a thread in there, didn't you? You're going to drag me over the press up there, aren't you?
We intend to publish the results of our legislative poll.
That's the tactic that you're going to use.
While some lawmakers indicated support for the initiative provisions, which would allow a petition signed by a certain percentage of people to bring a law to a vote of the people, they tempered their support with an appeal to consider possible alternate sources of revenue if the public indeed repeals certain tax measures. The public hearings on the governor's proposed new constitution are over. The writing of a new constitution now enters its next phase, a phase that is partially determined on what the governor will do about calling a special session. And as one committee member put it today in speaking about the special session, today's events are just a rehearsal. The real event is yet to come. Dennis Latham, WSFA TV News at the Capitol.
Of course, any amount is better than not getting anything out of the Public Service Commission, but the 9.5% increase will not generate enough revenues for the power company to continue operating as we feel we should.
Do you anticipate an appeal to the PSC?
Well, I just don't know. I guess the executive will have to analyze that, and an appeal to the PSC, I don't know how to answer that. I guess we are considering doing that, but this increase is in effect until July the 19th.
The 9.5% increase that has been granted will bring in a certain amount of extra money. Do you feel that this is going to be adequate for the services provided for the consumers within the next few months?
Well, the 9.5%, the revenues that will bring in may keep us going for a few months, but you must realize that in December we lost $3 million, and in January about $2.5 million. So this increase, by the time you take any taxes due the state out of it, will just barely keep us on an even keel as we are now. This increase will not allow us to rehire or start any construction programs back or to rehire anybody that's been laid off.
If this plan is adopted by the federal court, the individual elected from district number 5 will represent all this area in Montgomery County, and then there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 representatives from the area indicated on this map. The county commission, as you know, joined with the plaintiff in the lawsuit to file a suit in state court challenging another plan which did not provide this sort of arrangement. It was basically the legislative plan, but it cut across districts and would have provided for additional expense, which has been estimated somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000 to redraw precinct lines, and would have also required individuals to go to 2 different polling places when it came time to vote for the county commissioners and the presidential elections.
What are your feelings on this plan as far as how the federal judge will view it?
Well, the question of the previous system of electing county commissioners is that it was discriminatory. And this plan has basically been approved as racially neutral. The 1, 2, 3, 4 districts are based on the enumeration districts and are the exact same districts that we now have in the legislature, and they have been approved. The only difference in this number 5 is the addition of this Montgomery County area, and I do not believe that that will adversely affect the plan.
Two representatives of a Washington, D.C. economic counseling firm presented a preliminary report to the commission about the fuel adjustment charge. The firm was retained for the PSC through the National Research Institute. John Wilson told the commissioners the particular fuel clause used by Alabama Power Company is much better than most.
In a computational sense, it's a good clause. It does an accurate job of computing costs it does a fair job of recording them properly and indeed of passing them through. It is much better than fuel adjustment clauses in many other states in this regard because of some things that it does particularly well.
Wilson did have some suggestions about the Alabama Power Company fuel charge. He said the formula used was quite complex and the public would probably not be able to look at it and tell if they were being treated right, even though there is no evidence that the power company is abusing the clause. Wilson did say that the fuel adjustment clause should contain some incentive for the company to buy fuel at the lowest possible prices. Perhaps, he said, the pass-along cost of fuel to the consumer could be lowered from the present 100% to 90%, and changes also made in power or fuel purchases from affiliates such as Georgia Power Company. Another incentive for more accurate estimation of needed fuel would be to pay interest when the amount of fuel needed for any given month was overestimated. The Commission plans to study the report further when they receive a written version. Dennis Latham, WSFA TV News.
As you know, the Commission on March 6 voted an increase for the Alabama Power Company of 9.5% and ordered the company to file rates reflecting that with an effective date of March 9. Today, the company, March 8, filed revised tariffs reflecting the 9.5% increase which the Commission ordered them to file. The meeting today was for the purpose of checking those rates and putting them into effect, which the Commission did by its order that it just signed. So the rates will be in effect as of March 9 until July the 19th of this year, or until such time as the Commission issues an order in the permanent case, whichever occurs first.
I would say this, the farmers that have to farm will be going home to the fields. I'm convinced more than ever now that the governor not only is sympathetic with agriculture in Alabama, but he is determined to do whatever he can within his powers to improve agriculture in Alabama.
Did he give you any idea how this would come about?
Yes. Now, again, I will not try to quote every step that the governor is going to undertake, but I would just mention waterways, shipping ports, as well as markets around the world.
St. Jude and McIntosh played almost even ball for the first half of their game last night. Both teams seemed a bit nervous, and several careless turnovers and fouls were committed by both teams. McIntosh led by 2 points at the half, and after intermission, St. Jude fell farther behind, eventually trailing by 16 points. But the Pirates weren't dead by any means. St. Jude turned many McIntosh mistakes into points. The Pirates started to get hot from the outside. This basket is by Glenn Henderson, who led St. Jude with 19 points. St. Jude came all the way to tie the game at 75 all with only 1 second left, but as McIntosh put up a last-second shot, a foul was committed, and McIntosh hit the free throw with no time left to end St. Jude's season. This morning, Wetumpka had a little better luck in the state tournament. The Indians played Charles Henderson of Troy, and Wetumpka led for most of the game. That basket by Steve Slaughter, who ended up with 12 points. Wetumpka led by as many as 11 points in the second half, but Charles Henderson came back and tied the game at 57 on this basket. From that point on, the lead changed hands 5 times, both teams running and shooting very well. Charles Henderson probably would have won the game if they had not missed several crucial free throws late in the contest. As the clock winds down inside 5 seconds, Wetumpka trailing by 1 point, Danny Williams was fouled here. Williams went on to hit both free throws to give the Indians a 71-70 win in their first state tournament appearance since 1956. James Spann, WSFA TV Sports.
Subject number 1 was Cecil Darnell Grace, Route 1, Century, Alabama, date of birth 12/21/27. Subject number 2 is a Matthew Murphy, date of birth 9/28/13. We would like to ask anyone that knows anything at all about a Matthew Murphy, please contact us. We have been unable to trace Mr. Murphy's hometown. We've traced back to the state of Carolina, and that is as far as we can go. We have nothing else to go on as to who or where his family might be.
But first, to set the scene, it was obviously an off-shooting night for Alabama State. They missed many easy shots, while at the other end of the court, Birmingham Southern was in the zone, as they say. Time and time again, Southern's Willie Williams pumped it in from long range. State's taller front line was neutralized in the late going by foul trouble, and Birmingham Southern's smaller but very able inside people blocked out well and more than held their own under the boards. When Willie Williams' 2 free throws made it 80-70 with 58 seconds, it looked like it was over for sure. But State battled on. Melvin Creighton hit from the corner, and this inside shot after a Johnny Mitchell steal, it was 80-74. Another steal, Kevin Loader slammed it home, was fouled, and made this free throw. Suddenly, it was 80-77 with 24 seconds remaining. Birmingham Southern finally worked it down court, getting it inside for what looked like a sure 2 until Kevin Loader denied Marvin Smith the basket. Smith missed the free throw. With the final seconds ticking away, State raced down court, trying to work in for the good shot. Loader took it from 20 feet. It was good. With 3 seconds remaining, the officials had to put the 3 seconds back on the clock. Then the tense inbound play for Birmingham Southern. This time, the pass got safely to Willie Williams, who ran the last 3 seconds off the clock as State desperately tried to foul. Though stunned by the 1-point loss, James Oliver said his team had its chances. It was just one of those things, and now the Hornets must prepare for next year. Birmingham Southern goes to the national tournament for the 2nd straight year, having played brilliantly on the road when it counted the most.